Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Sprites of Life podcast. I'm Lucas.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Don.
It's so glad to have you guys here. Yo, I got to tell you, I'm so glad to talk to y'all because I literally just got back from vacation and I was in Yellowstone. That stuff was wild. I haven't gotten the chance
Did
to
you
talk to you
pet
about it.
did you pet the big cows?
I did not pet the fluffy cows. I did see someone trying to smell the the boiling hot water of bacteria and acid. That was dumb. That
Did
was funny though.
Yeah,
did you buy in the gift shop Deaths at Yellowstone book?
I saw that at the gift shop. I was staying at the Old Faithful Inn and I saw that sitting there and I almost got it, but I got a t-shirt instead.
Yeah, so when we went probably like almost a decade ago, my brother bought it, and it's basically a collection of everybody that has ever died at Yellowstone, and the bulk of it is like people walking into thermal geysers or petting the furry cows.
I mean, yeah, we saw bears, we saw bison. It was really cool. I mean, the reason I want to bring this up though, not just to like humble brag, it's the fact that like the setting of like the west of the United States. I had just gotten done watching the Fallout TV show and like even seeing just the mountains and everything out there. It was so cool to think about like if this was a Fallout game, what monsters are hiding back there? Like Fallout's getting a resurgence thanks to the TV show. I mean, unfortunately, Bethesda doesn't have a Fallout game aside from Fallout 4 to like tie with it like Cyberpunk did when it released an anime. I honestly don't know what Bethesda's doing anymore. Like they got their own problems to deal with, which we won't bring up here. But I did want to say, well, if they're not going to capitalize it, why not us? We're going to talk about Fallout today. We're going to talk about radiation and what it actually does to stuff. And then I found some critters. And Chris, don't worry, I have your request set in. We will go ahead and talk about a lot of the critters in the Fallout universe and see, like, could they have worked? What works about them? What doesn't? I don't know. I just wanted to have some fun because honestly, Fallout used to be a big part of my childhood, and then it kind of, I don't know, I kind of lost interest when they got away from the karma system. I liked the karma system.
When did the karma system end? Was that
Fallout 4 was then they kind of focused it on making it like,
Mhm.
let's make it a little bit easier so everyone can play. I'm like, ah, just, I don't know. I really miss the
I do
karma
like
system.
the system a little more complex, and I also like how in some of the older ones you could just be an absolute lunatic. Like I think it's
Yeah,
in New
give
Vegas where you shake a guy down for caps, and he's like, I've given you everything but the shirt off my back," and you can be like, "Give me the shirt off your back." And I just remember that interaction being hilarious.
Let's just talk about Fallout in general and some of the critters. But first, let's go back to our science news. Honestly, this is a repeat of some of the news we've done before because we talked about it before. Yeah, it turns out the pod of orcas are back sinking ships again.
Don't mess with
Is
them.
it the same work as the
Apparently.
last time?
So this might be the same group because it is in the Strait of Gibraltar. According to one study, there have been 700 orca attacks since 2020. According to the GT Orca Atlantica, which is a conservation group that specializes, and it's like 37 of those orcas are in the Strait of Gibraltar when they're doing this. So this time it was a 50-foot yacht that they just started attacking. An oil tanker had to pick them up, and they just slowly watched their ship sink into the ocean. And we have no idea why they're doing it. Now, I have friends who are like, yes, the orcas are taking down the patriarchy, death to them all. I'm like, okay, I love the passion, but they don't care. Like, there's got to be another reason, right? Like, have y'all heard any of the other reasons?
No, I have not.
The other one is that they see us as a threat for
Oh yeah.
attacking, taking their fish,
Yeah.
which fair. If Don has more experience with dolphins stealing his fish than the verse, but
Yeah, they do it a lot.
hmm it's really, it could be that they feel unsafe around the boats because they might have attacked one of the matriarchs of the group. There's been all kinds of things pushed forward. All we know is that a lot of people are losing their boats. And I get worried for the orcas because the only thing that stops us from wiping them out is the fact that people like orcas and whales now. We almost wiped them out with sailing boats and like wooden sticks. We could very easily do it again. And I hope that like this stops so that way people don't decide to go after the orcas. I don't think it'll come to that anytime soon, but my fear is that if a kid gets hurt or worse, that's going to change it. Or a dog, kid or a dog. My money's on the kid first, though.
We just need a Free Willy movie again to help mend the fences.
I mean, yeah, but that don't work no more on account that, I mean, I work in the aquarium, and it's one of those things of like, yeah, everyone's kind of like, I mean, they don't even breed orcas at SeaWorld anymore, which is a whole other thing. Like, so it's like, yeah, we're just gonna wait for them to pass away, naturally. Although I don't know how well they're. You tell the orcas not to reproduce. Let's see how long you last. I don't know how well that's gonna work for them. Sorry, I'm off track. As far as gaming news goes, look, there's enough people covering the crap going on with Sony and Xbox. So can we find something else, like anything else to talk about?
I got two things. One short thing.
Okay.
Did both of you see the $300 3-foot Lapras plush?
I saw it.
No.
I
Hang
don't know, 'cause
on.
you just
Shush,
took a
shush, shush, shush.
vacation, so I don't know.
Lapras plush. Oh, the 451, the one that's. Why is it giving me the sexy eyes?
No, it's 34 it's 27 inches tall, so it's like a little over 2 feet tall, and it's about 3 feet long.
Okay. Oh, okay. This one, the inflatable one.
No, it's not. No, it's a plush.
It is
I
a
linked it in the
holy
Discord.
mackerel. That thing is cool. I want it.
I asked my wife if we could buy it for our daughter, and she said no.
I mean, like, but like, isn't the greatest thing love can do is surprise you? Don't you understand love? No, this thing is absolutely gigantic. I mean, I know at least a few people who would buy it, but I'm looking at my room right now. I don't got the space for this beauty.
Yeah, a few people do.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some guy with like a 2-bedroom house and one of them's dedicated to Pokemon, but still, it's
Mhm.
awesome. But I mean, I'm glad that it's still. Hey, I'm trying to see like, okay, you could still pre-order it. I hate. We've talked about it before. Like Pokemon screws up in giving us cool stuff because we're not Japan. So
Now, the other bit is that we got a trailer release today because we're recording on Wednesday of the new Assassin's Creed game.
I actually still haven't watched the trailer, but I haven't played an Assassin's Creed, like, in a while. Black Flag was the last one I really liked. I think I played what's the, actually, no, I played the Egyptian one, I think was the last one I played.
Origins, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and Black Flag was like 2012. I think Origins was like 2017.
Oh my
Uh
god, I feel like I thought that I did not realize that they had been out that long, to be honest.
Black Flag is definitely one of my favorite. I have played I think all the Assassin's Creed games as they come out. I still have not played Mirage. So we're in this cycle right now where we've had two games relatively quick succession because Mirage came out last year. And Shadows is what was revealed as being called is coming out in November. And then after these, they are Ubisoft is doing their like big Assassin's Creed game that's like we're not releasing individual games anymore. We have one game that's gonna have like the games built off of it.
I thought I heard something, maybe it was just a fake rumor about them doing, like, one that's set in, like, World War One,
I mean, I could definitely see it. But
which
we
I
this
think would be
one,
sick.
I mean, we've got a lot of different times in history that we could definitely set an Assassin's Creed in. But this one, Shadows, is feudal Japan, which is pretty exciting. And we have, I think, so. I mean, if I remember, or if I'm thinking back to it, I don't think we've had a dual protagonist game since Unity when you were the brother and sister. Uh,
Is it, were there I know there's, like, maybe they're just male and female characters in the Egyptian one, right? Or are those, like,
you're
separate stories, or is that dual protagonist? I
I don't
can't
think you can
remember.
play as. I think you only play as. Oh god, what's his name? But I think you only play as Bayek. So the in this one you can be male or female character. They have very different play styles from what I gather. There's the female character who is supposedly more stealthy and hide in shadows, and definitely a
Well, I
callback
think
to
she's like a ninja shinobi type of deal you do, and he's like a samurai type
and
of
it's
guy.
more of a callback to like because there's been some complaints against Assassin's Creed that it has been very much less assassiny for a long time, pretty much since Origins, I would guess.
Yeah, I
When
don't know,
they
I also I think 2 is still one of my absolute. I think 2 might be my absolute favorite now that I
It was
think
yes.
about it.
2 is definitely one of my favorites because Assassin's Creed used to be more akin to like kind of like more like a Hitman, style game where it's like here's the guy in this space and you have to get to him, but you can get to him how you want to get to him.
Yeah, that
Uh,
I always thought that was really cool.
Honestly, when it comes to like the Assassin's Creed genre, I'm one of those people who are like it hasn't been the same since like Black Flag. It's gone downhill. I hope this game does well. I hope that people enjoy it. I do not trust Ubisoft because some of their stuff when it comes to how they do their game, they are the kings of needless microtransactions. They are real bad at it when it comes to it, and putting them in single player games to me is like a heck no. But like if people like it and people enjoy it, please do. These developers work hard for a company that has been notably terrible. I'm hoping that this works, and I'm actually intrigued that they're using Yasuki into this game. Like, if you don't, like, you guys know the story of Yasuki, right?
yeah, yes,
Like,
you can fill in people who may not, but yes.
yeah, okay, yeah. So, like, Yasuki being the the quote unquote black samurai, where he was an African man who was brought to Japan, and he was kept in Oda Nobunaga's like service as a retainer.
I say, and what I've heard from the like character play style as opposed to the other character is he is going to be more akin to the most recent Assassin's Creed games. So think Eivor. Yeah, so more akin to that kind of play style, that kind of like free flowing combat, countering it and all, and very much like the Arkham Origins fight style that became popular and popped up everywhere after Arkham Origin or Arkham Asylum came out.
Yeah, the
But
sorta, like, stand and counter, jump around thing.
with lots of little like QT or not QTEs, but little like cutscene animations is like
Yeah, there's, like
Valhalla.
a trigger yeah, things that, like, trigger it. Or, like, I just remember even some of the earlier Assassin's Creeds, you had, like, the X to counter button, and you could just be surrounded by 50 guards and just, like, methodically,
Yeah, chip
like,
your way
counter
through.
move them all. Yeah.
Before we get to it, again, wanted to congratulate you, Don, on your Pokemon win recently. That was
Oh, thanks.
terrifying. Like
Yeah, I had a
the
nice, a couple probably some of my last tournaments for the season. We had a premier challenge and a mid-season showdown in Florida, so 2 of the smaller, tier events, but I was able to win both of them with a, Calyrex Shadow Rider team that was pretty fun. It revolved around him and Palmot, so you could just click choice specs moves until Shadow Rider got knocked out, and then Palmot with Revival Blessing just means you have another one, and, that was really fun.
Did you see the video I sent like with the guy getting revived again?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
over yeah, just like every time, just like it's literally beating an undead horse until it gets back up. Love it. Oh my god. That was the dumbest watching your video was probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Like just how terrifying that thing is. Why wasn't it nerfed?
What I
It's
mean,
because
the
it's
same.
balanced. They nerfed the other ones, and Shadow Rider is clearly perfectly balanced, unlike Ice Rider, Zacian, or Zamazenta, who all got nerfed, but this is good. They recognize that it's ideal.
I mean, they
All
also
right.
didn't nerf Urshifu.
Yes, they did. Te
Mm.
Wicked Blow got its base power reduced by 5. So, yeah, there you go, nerfed
By
it.
5.
The system works.
Yeah, so it went
All
from
right.
base 80 to
But
75.
most importantly though, we need to shout out your prize, Dawn, which is the
Oh
greatest
god, the
Pokemon
prize.
card of all cards.
The Drampa Illustrator card?
Yes.
Yeah, that was my big pull from the packs I got that were very fun.
I love the Drampa card. And what are the attacks on it? It's like gentle slap and like destruction.
Something like that. I
Raging
think I have a picture
cannon.
of it.
Yeah, yeah. Gentle slap and raging cannon.
I got it. I put it in the Discord. Here you go. I'll put it
The
in the
perfect
episode too.
encapsulation of Drampa as like what it is.
It's beautiful. I want that as a tattoo on somebody. That's awful.
It's very never ending story energy.
Yeah, just
Yeah, very
with
much, and
like
almost like the art style almost reminds me a little bit of Earthbound.
with the houses, you really are right. I think I see it.
Yeah, it's more the
All right.
houses, the anyway, we're way off base now.
Yeah, we're way off base. Let's crawl out through the Fallout back to me. Let's go. I know you've each played Fallout at some point, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. This is one of the first games aside from Pokemon where we've all collectively played these games. Like normally, at least it's like one of us out of the loop, but today we actually all together. Oh,
Yeah,
feels
that's
good.
probably true.
For those who've never played the Fallout games, you're either too young and your parents will let you play it, or you're missing out. The Fallout games are some of the best RPGs the West has ever produced. Everything Fallout 3 was my introduction. Obviously, the games are older than that. My brother stands by that Fallout New Vegas is the best of them, and I tend to agree. But Fallout is a staple amongst Western games. It is one of the finest, and the reason that it was turned into a TV show was because of how good it is. What were your favorite Fallouts? Like mine's New Vegas, but what about y'all?
I mean, it's
Also New Vegas,
probably
I think.
yeah, it's probably New Vegas.
Look, man, Big Iron on his hip. I'm just gonna play Big Iron and kill things.
Fallout 3 being in DC, definitely and like growing up in DC or just outside of DC, like that one definitely has like a little bit of a shout out in my heart, but I probably got to pick Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, today we're not going to focus so much on a game. We're going to focus more on radiation because that's a big focal point of the entire game. Is radiation is so much of the issues with that game. We're not going to like spoil the lore too much or anything else like that, but I do want to talk about the effects of radiation, how it actually works, and then we'll talk about the game's version of radiation, what that stuff does. So, we should probably define radiation first. And it's honestly, it's a pretty wide definition. So whenever people are scared of radiation, technically speaking, radiation is energy that comes from a source that travels at the speed of light. So can you all name a type of radiation that isn't related to like nuclear energy?
That
Oh,
isn't related to nuclear
why are you
energy,
putting me on the spot, Lucas?
like
I mean, there's some
ultraviolet.
pretty easy ones. I'll give you a hint. There's
Yeah,
one in your kitchen.
the light spectrum,
Like spectrum, that's radiation. There's one in your kitchen. How do you heat up your popcorn?
microwave,
Yep, that's a type of radiation. If you're broadcasting sound from one place to another, what kind of waves would you be using?
radio
Radio.
wave,
Very good. If a doctor's office want to look at your bones, what would he use?
X-rays.
Pretty much,
God,
yeah. There's
God, I'm so
tons of
good at
different
this.
there's tons of different kinds of radiation out there. The ones people are going to be focusing on is more ionizing radiation. So this is energy given off from an unstable set of molecules as it breaks apart into a more stable state. So things like isotopes breaking apart. The three big ones that people tend to talk about when it comes to nuclear radiation and ionizing radiation are alpha, beta, and gamma particles. Different molecules release different particles. Alpha particles are the heaviest. They tend to be unable to penetrate things as easily. Like so, for example, alpha particles would have trouble breaking through like a piece of paper. Beta particles can penetrate the body, but they can't really make it the way all their way through. That's why certain beta particles are actually used in cancer treatment to help break down some of the cancerous cells in your body and then not pass all the way through. Gamma radiation, that one's used in science fiction all the time. That's the stuff that will cut right through your body. Hence why you use lead as a form of protection when you're working with some of its cousins like X-rays. The
Big Hulk.
radiation and the Hulk. Yeah, we can't not mention the Hulk. Different particles, amounts, time exposed. It all has a crazy number of effects. And radiations at high enough doses, we all know, can cause organs and tissues to stop functioning. Unfortunately, we've gotten a chance to see what this stuff can do firsthand, no matter what anyone's view on this historical event is. When the atomic bombs were dropped on Japan, and all the nuclear tests afterwards, we got a chance to see just how dangerous some of this radiation can be. Um, Obviously, if you're close to an atomic blast range, what happens? Do you walk away fine, or what happens to y'all? You just glass.
I mean,
Am I Godzilla in this scenario?
I think it
You
depends
are
on
Dawn.
how close you are to it.
Hold out your thumb. Fallout taught me that. If the explosion of the mushroom cloud is bigger than your thumb, you're done. Game over. You're glass.
According to the ghoul.
According to the ghoul. But
I mean, that's probably a good rule of thumb.
you. If you are close to the black case, you can rip it apart. But if you are at a certain distance, you might come off of it with radiation burns. But if you're even further back, you might not even notice just how you've succumbed to radiation and only get the effects later. radiation on the body, specifically gamma radiation, can have the effect where as your cells are dividing, it can attack those cells and cause higher chances of mutations or just destruction and shutting it down. Um, if you succumb to radiation sickness, you can die within days or even weeks at a certain range, and some of these effects might take years. There's a scene in the show Chernobyl where it talks about how, oh, we're this close to this area already. Yeah, well, that means we're going to die within 5 years. And this is based on a true story where the men in that scene, the real ones they portrayed, died within about 5 years because the radiation there had just caused their bodies to develop cancer. I believe in his case it was leukemia, but I have to go and check on that one again. Radiation causes mutation. That's one of the biggest problems it has. But there's so many other effects it can have. It can completely shut down your body, completely burn away just about everything you have. It's very rarely going to cause anything of any kind of benefit to your body. And it have you guys I mean, we're not going to put the pictures on this podcast because I kind of like keeping it, up. But like, have you guys seen some of like the pictures that came out from like the atomic bombings or any of these sorts of tests?
Yeah, I've seen that. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of stuff from Chernobyl. It's not good.
Yeah,
No.
most of these were actually banned from the public site. Like when they first went to the blast sites of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the government went and collected data and then like blacklisted the media from like ever talking about it because they wanted to make sure that like people didn't find out. We eventually did, and by that point, it was pretty apparent that a lot of these people who quote unquote survived didn't get a chance to really live that long a life. Now, outside of the atomic bombs, there have been plenty of accidents with radiation that has taught us it's not something to mess with. The accidents of radiation from Harry Delian and Louis Stolin. Both died in Los Alamos. They were both on the Manhattan Project due to high levels of exposure. But the worst fate of anyone who's ever messed with radiation was in 1999. Hisashi Oichi, who was in Japan, he was exposed to so much
Oh yeah, this is
radiation.
rough.
Yeah, more than anyone alive. He was kept alive for over 2 months as his body slowly fell apart. I am not going to even describe the horrors that man's body went through because the radiation literally caused him to fall apart. And they kept him alive. To this day is debated on what would have been more versatile just to put him out of his misery. But it gave scientists a chance to study the effects of radiation at that much. It's one of those things to remind you that just because you can study it doesn't mean you should. I might be of the camp of like, please just let this man pass away because it was pretty rough. The whole reason I've been bringing this up is that radiation has this vision in the pop culture of causing superpowers. That is something that has been going around since, well, Godzilla. Ever since the wonders of the atom had been discovered, people are just like, oh my gosh, what can we do with it? What can it change with our lives? The reality is, radiation is incredibly dangerous and it can do a lot of damage. It's the reason why so many people debate nuclear power because, yes, while nuclear power does have the ability to help produce a lot of energy and help people, there's also that chance of that energy getting out. Your standard Chernobyl argument of sorts. Again, we're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that argument of nuclear power, yay or
Great
nay.
show though.
So yeah, I've just gone and talked about the gloom and death and horrors of radiation. Obviously, I'm not a nuclear physicist, but I can tell you right now that Fallout decided to go for the fictional world of radiation, where radiation makes monsters. And so we're going to be talking about some of the creatures you can find out in the wasteland and how they kind of relate to radiation. I feel like we should start small and then work our way up. So
I like that idea.
let's go with the bugs. Have y'all what are your feelings on rad roaches?
Crunchy.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's one of the times I'm like, all right, grab the melee weapon, start whacking. I ain't wasting the bullets.
Anyway, I just started blasting. I guess.
So the rad roaches have been around since the beginning, since Fallout 1. They're a mutated version of the American cockroach, where honestly their size isn't even the weirdest part. So not only do they get a whole lot bigger, they're like the size of like a house cat or a full-grown human if you get the really big mutant varieties. They have super strong incisors for attacking prey. They also developed pack tactics, and so they hunt and work as a team, which is very impressive, given that typically cockroaches aren't exactly known for their teamwork. Pretty cool. The thing that's weird, cockroaches can survive large amounts of radiation due to a lot of different factors. We all know that, oh, if the world goes to heck in a handbasket, the cockroaches will inherit the earth. One, that's nematodes. They will inherit the earth. Two, do you know why cockroaches can survive a nuclear blast?
because of
Like,
their hardiness.
well,
They're
that's the
built
thing.
different.
Like, we keep the built different. Dawn is, unfortunately, Chris, more right than you. They are built different. um, so their cells divide very slowly. Really, they only start like cellular division and like growing a little bit more as they are about to molt. Because of that, there's less chance for the radiation to affect their cells during that division. It decreases the chances of mutation. Other theories suggest that simpler organisms that have less DNA to manipulate or simply have less complex organs or tissue structure to destroy have a higher chance of surviving. Typically, simple organisms survive radiation better than complex ones. I like to think of it as the equivalent between a what would you call it? A sundial, like for the like an hourglass versus a Swiss watch. An hourglass, very simple mechanism, doesn't do that much, but it's very easy to kind of fix and manipulate. If anything goes wrong at a Swiss watch, the whole thing goes down. Like if something attacks the human body in any part of it, it can shut the whole thing. We're complex machines that don't have a lot of redundancy. And that's one of the reasons why roaches are one of those animals that would survive. The mutated roaches of the size of the game, at least the cat-sized ones, could survive on Earth. Like we have ecosystems that could have cat-sized cockroaches.
Yeah, their
We don't
biggest bottle
anymore.
cap right now, or bottleneck, I should say right now, bottle caps that have fallout. Um, no, yeah, their biggest like bottleneck right now is just the amount of oxygen flow because like uh insects breathe through book lungs, which basically just sort of holes in their abdomen. At least roaches do, and they're much less efficient than like traditional lungs that like a mammal or like a higher form of life form would have. So that's why we see the giant insects back in the Carboniferous period when the Earth's oxygen content was much higher.
Yeah, and with these roaches, they are very durable, but it's kind of weird that like, oh, these creatures cannot be mutated. Anyway, here's Fallout. We mutated them. Like it's weird. I wish that cockroaches had been like the only thing that weren't mutated. Like I know it would be a completely different vibe for the game. They'd have to find something. But there are plenty of other organisms that can survive massive amounts of radiation without changing. I just love that they decided with the cockroaches like, nah, they are now affected by radiation, and it makes them giant, horrible monstrosities. I mean, still a fun starter creature to go after in the game. Keep it nice and simple. Chris, don't worry, I got you because I know you requested I do a little research on this one. How long did you guys keep dog meat as a companion in your Fallout games?
As long as you could.
The last
Mm,
time I played, I think I did a like a gunslinger solo build, and I don't
mm-hmm.
think dog meat counts against the perk of like the lone survivor or whatever it's called. So I
Uh-huh.
think I was just running around with a pistol and my dog the whole time. It was pretty fun.
I mean, dog meat is the name of the dog that's been. It's every series. Even in the TV show, we have a dog meat, and dog meat has been in every Fallout game except New Vegas. For some reason, they just decided no dogs in New Vegas, which is it's the reason the game's a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. No dog, very sad. The whole like with dog meat, it's come in a lot of different visions in the game. It's looked a little bit different in each one, but it's weird because basically dog meat is the only unradiated dog you come across. Every other dog is a hairless mongrel that seems really
Yeah, it's
ticked
just a
off at life.
perfect, and it's really funny in Fallout 4 because he's just like a purebred German Shepherd, just hanging
Hmm
out.
There's no weird little like, oh, he's a breed within this and that. He's just a German Shepherd with a bandana. It's just like, hi, I'm gonna follow you now, just
He's
straight up.
fashionable.
He
I know
is.
there's a theory about him being a synth.
You god dang synth in my town. God, Fallout 4. All right. So how did dog meat survive? Like, how is dog meat an unmutated German Shepherd? Is there any precedent to this?
Because he's a
Just,
synth.
just he's not a synth. Not a, don't ruin this for me, Don. He
You know
is
who
from
thinks dog
Chernobyl.
meat isn't a synth? Synths.
It's all comes down to Chernobyl. So people have been doing studies on Chernobyl ever since they realized it was kind of safe to get closer. And they've noticed that in Chernobyl, there's a lot of different animals that are surviving in areas with pretty high levels of radiation. And wolf populations are one of them. These wolves are doing great in the human exclusion zones. Now, part of this can be attributed to the fact that there are no people around to ruin things. And thus, these animals are able to survive a little bit better. But what they found is that these dogs are able to pass on genes over time that are resistant to cancer or genes that allow them to deal with a higher level of tumors before death. So, this study has been done to show that these animals can resist the effects of radiation over time given the right amount. So, if this was a if like over 100 years ago, German shepherds were kind of like in one area with the least amount of radiation. They slowly build it up and they slowly keep moving and keep growing over time. You get your rare but possible dog meats, where they are dogs that don't have the same horrific reaction to radiation as all the other dogs around them. This is some real science that can be done. And the games didn't know that. This is a fairly new study, not like it was back when they made the first Fallout 1. So it is really weird that the first two things I'm talking about of giant cockroaches and radiation proof dogs is somehow real, which is pretty fun. So it means we kind of have to go the other direction.
I like to think that someone played the original Fallout and they were like, "How do we get this dog?" And then they started doing the research because of it.
I mean, we've been going on the pretty realistic trail, which is nice. So we're gonna go the other direction. Um, did y'all befriend any ghouls while on your travels? Obviously, we killed our fair share, but do y'all make friends with the ghouls?
Some of them I think are pretty cool.
Yeah, there's some all right ones.
If they give me stuff to buy with my caps and don't shoot me in the head, we're cool. I usually play as how I would play, like if it was me when I role play, and I'm like, listen, if you don't shoot me and you pay me caps and you're not hurting anybody that I like, we're cool.
That's a
But ghouls,
very important disclaimer, Lucas. You're not hurting any people that I like.
yeah, people I
Yeah.
like, we're cool. I mean, look, they could be hurting the Enclave, and I want to be like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna stop you. Beat them up, take their shoes. You're
What
not gonna
about
stop.
neutral people? People you're neutral on.
I
I
mean,
have
did
no
the
strong
neutral
feelings in
people
either direction.
did the neutral people decide to attack the ghouls?
I
What
have
makes
no.
a man turn neutral? I was thinking about that Futurama with the neutral planet.
Maybe they're just born with a heart full of neutrality. Okay, yeah, no, with the ghouls get pretty silly with what they can do. We've talked about what radiation can do to the body. It basically turns your skin to
I,
baloney and
I, I
melts
you
off
know
your
what?
bone.
I don't like how the newer versions of the ghouls aren't like just as absolutely messed up as the more older versions of the ghouls.
The
Yeah,
older
they
versions
kind
were
of
definitely a little bit more grotesque.
Yeah, I
it
liked
kind
that.
of leads to the Fallout show is like people simping for the ghoul in that show and everyone
For
and like people.
Walton Goggins, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, it's hilarious because like people have been making posts like incels thinking that their looks are what's stopping them. Meanwhile, half the women watching this show are simping for the radiation fueled ghoul over there. Which
He's
he's not
he's he just wants to find his daughter.
just wants to find his family.
I
He
still
wants
haven't
to
seen the show.
No, he
it,
doesn't.
it's
He doesn't care about his
not
wife.
it's not much of a spoiler. It's a good show. Go watch it. But in any case, ghouls are humans who didn't die from radiation poisoning. Instead, they get to look like a zombie the rest of their life, but in return, they get near regeneration, ageless immortality, and the occasional hunger for human flesh.
Only
They
occasion.
they can go feral, they can kill people. It happens. But in the game's logic, in order to turn into a ghoul, you need just the right radiation and a specific kind of genetic marker in order to like turn into that. So it's like a mutation that takes radiation and turns you into well basically Deadpool. Like this literally just Deadpool, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of is.
Like
They're
it's like
not all as quippy though.
yeah, they're not all as quippy. They're not always the best conversationalists, but they mutate in such a way that it's one of those weird things. Like I don't have a huge thing to say about them. No, if you expose yourself to radiation, you are not going to get near immortality. People have been trying that stupid stunt for a long time. I
Yeah, you
mean,
have to
back in
drink
ancient China.
mercury like the ancient emperors did.
Yeah,
That's
no,
the trick.
That's the trick. Oh, really?
Please don't do that, actually.
We're the emperors.
Legally, I have to say don't do that.
We're the emperors, Don. We're the
They're
emperors.
hiding.
Uh-huh.
They're
'Cause
hiding
they know
without
they wanna keep all the mercury for themselves.
Again, please don't drink mercury. Please. Oh, please don't. All right. Now normally in any kind of Fallout thing where you're talking about the critters, you would expect like, all right, we got to talk about the death claws because death claws are like the big cool monster. I mean, like you get a view in the show, they don't see a death claw, but they hint at them, and that's one of those like, I know this, I know this, I know this sort of view. What are your thoughts? Do y'all avoid death claws or like punch them in the face?
If I don't have to fight one, I will try not to. It's like bear rules.
Oh, dude,
I mean,
everything is loot that I just haven't picked up yet.
I'm of the mindset of if I'm in a power suit, game on. Game on. You know what?
I'll make terrible decisions in terms of picking my battles. I pick
I'll put
every
on a
battle.
power suit and get the power glove and just like, all right, ring a ding ding. We're just gonna punch this out. We're gonna settle this. Like old school. But I can't really get a chance to talk about Death Claws because they weren't made from radiation. They were made by the government before the war.
For
So
what purpose?
honestly,
'Cause they're
because it
cool.
was fun. Yeah, why not? Size isn't about why, it's about why not. One of my favorite quotes from Portal 2. They escaped from like their containment area because they were made during the war time to like, be like the equivalent of soldiers, just go out and kill things for it. They escaped, bred, populated the wastelands, and they have an ability to survive thanks to good old Uncle Sam's much research. Instead, I want to talk about another giant monster they decided to throw in a game I've never played, nor will, Fallout 76. In Fallout 76, they made the Mega Sloth. And I'm going to find you guys a picture of it because I don't think you guys have seen one. The Mega Sloth in Fallout 76 is
Is it like a I'm blanking on the name, like the giant ground sloth?
in a way, yeah. So it does take inspiration from the giant ground sloth, but it looks a lot more like a common everyday two-toed sloth or three-toed sloth. Just a whole lot
But,
bigger,
but big.
but big.
I like him.
And he's
Yeah,
got
it's a
like fungus growing on him.
Yeah, he does.
Actual like, much like actual sloths do have that special moss on them.
Exactly.
And then
They're
they have the
actually.
moth that only lives in the sloth moss.
Mm-hmm. um there was actually a paper I was reading that was showing how hey, we should be looking for funguses in weirder places. For example, there are unique fungi that live in the hair of sloth, and some of them might be, medicinal like other funguses and fungi, and we don't know because they're just who things to look at an animal's hairy back to look for a rare medical fungi.
I mean, it'd be good if they had it because like they're very easy to catch. And I feel for getting the
Chris,
special.
what did you just post? What is this?
That's the Fallout Magic crossover.
Oh, that's neat. I was like, oh, good heavens. Oh, okay. So, in the lore, this one guy had pet sloth that escaped containment. They got irradiated. Now they're taller than a human, and the fungi on their back are poisonous and cause spores. They shake spores at you whenever you get too close, and they don't want you near them. I mean, sloths in real life do carry those, but as you mentioned, Don, it's a clear reference to the giant Megatherian sloth species that used to live in North America. For those of you who don't see how big they are, I'm going to go ahead and get the chart again.
And also, while you do that, 76 takes place in West Virginia.
Yes.
It takes place around that area. Hang on, let me go ahead and get a good size chart
So
for you.
you're telling me some guy from West Virginia lost his sloth and it got irradiated?
Honestly,
Yeah.
like I feel like could be a headline right now.
This is worse than when those cobras escaped near the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look
Never
at the
mind. I
picture I
don't talk
just
about the Missouri
posted,
Cobra scare right now, but that reminded me of a history fact I learned about. Everyone look up the Missouri Cobra scare. Not right now. I'm just saying you should, listeners.
so like if you see the size chart I posted, so like Megatherium's kind of in the middle. If you were to actually scale that, hang on, let me go ahead and get the other chart. These animals, if they're standing up on both legs, they stand taller than an African elephant. Like they were
Pretty
huge.
tall.
Yeah, their claws were designed for grabbing on branches and stuff. They were still plant eaters, but it's still really cool that they kind of made this, I'll be honest, really, really neat reference. I think it's cool that they added this.
Its claws were designed for hugs.
If not friend, why friend shaped? All right. Last one I wanted to talk about because they're just weird and fun and aquatic, and we kind of talked about crabs while you were gone the last time.
Yes.
We're gonna talk about Mirelurks.
Yay!
Specifically, yeah,
I like Mirelurks.
Mirelurks. Well, it depends on which one. Like Mirelurks have come up with like all kinds of crazy designs. Do y'all remember what the Mirelurk King looked like in Fallout 3?
Isn't he like a dude, like a fish man?
Yeah, here's a picture. Look at this dude.
It's the Shape of Water guy right there.
Yeah, Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro looking dude. Mr. Steal Your Girl over here.
He is kind of. He looks like the nightmare of Azora.
He, he looks like Abe Sapien from Hellboy, which again was the inspiration for Shape of Water, so it's fine.
Love Ape Sapien.
Yeah, Hellboy too, and is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Shout out Doug Jones.
Oh God, Doug Jones, the man, the myth, the legend. Love that dude. Anywho, we're gonna be focused on these Mirelurks. These are the ones I like the most. They tend to have the most crabby feel, for lack of a better word, which is weird because they're a mix of two creatures that are not related to each other by much. So it's a combination of crustaceans and horseshoe crabs, which are in Chelicerata. So combining the two, so you have a mixture of a common blue crab and a North American horseshoe crab to get this monstrosity. And it's really weird because these creatures existed before the blast. According to the lore, there was enough radiation being dumped by companies into the water system that these things were starting to show up on beaches.
Oh,
Awesome.
Yeah, like this is not something made by the blast. It was just made worse. Like apparently eco groups like in the lore it talked about how eco groups like tried telling the news and the media and they didn't listen and all they reported was like, oh yeah, there's higher than normal crustacean activity. Like it's really that typical Fallout stupidity levels of capitalism that I love making fun of. But
I don't know. They might taste good.
I mean, they are. That's also in the lore. They do taste. They taste a little. They taste good. Their texture is terrible.
Taste a little radiation-y.
Yeah. There are actual people in the game that specialize in harvesting them as a delicacy, and then they'll be like in the lore they talk about how people have been like raided and attacked, and like people start entire kingdoms hunting these guys down. So I guess crab trapping is still alive and well in a sense. I mean,
well, I've got my post Fallout. That's my job.
Don's got his Fallout job.
Yeah.
When do we get the Fallout Deadliest Catch spinoff? Oh my god, if they did Fallout Alaska.
Honestly, like Don, you just get the fishman looking virgin dragon. Like, got a real good haul today, boys. Who wants the kidney?
Yeah, I don't know about the fishman ones.
Oh no, man, that's the rarest one. Don't you want to catch the next river monster?
I guess you gotta.
It's got.
Oh my god, you have Jeremy Wade as a ghoul. That'd be so sick.
God, Jeremy Wade as a ghoul fishing off a rock. Oh my god!
Have you seen the memes about the next Fallout game should be set in Memphis and there could be a ghoul that rules the Bass Pro Pyramid?
Yeah.
And then you have Jeremy Wade river monstering for catfish right there. It's perfect.
That's brilliant. Oh my god, I would love them to do it in Density just
Todd
to have
Howard
a pyramid.
Or you could have a ghoul that rules the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid. Don't they have like a Parthenon in Tennessee?
Yeah, they got all sorts of stuff.
So you have one that rules in the Parthenon. You have
and Graceland Elvis ghoul.
Yeah, you have an Elvis ghoul.
There was already the Elvis people in New Vegas, but like the actual Elvis in this world,
they could that would be a great callback. They could be having like a war with the New Vegas colony of other Elvises, and they're like, those aren't the real Elvis. We're the real Elvis.
One of the things I want to point out about the Mirelurks though is that they do have a pretty hard shell. It can shake off blunt force trauma, laser fire, so you got to aim for the soft meat. But the thing that's interesting is that unlike cockroaches, blue crabs and horseshoe crabs are not really resistant to human destruction. Both of them get severely wrecked by pollution to the point where they're not like getting a chance to mutate. They just die. Blue crab harvesting has become such a problem for some people because the blue crab are, getting stuck in areas that the waters are too warm. They're not able to survive as easily. And horseshoe crabs, I mean, their blood is worth $13,000 a pint. People keep taking their eggs, and then there's climate change. These animals, like, it's such a cool concept to like kind of mash these creatures together, especially given that horseshoe crabs and blue crabs are like specific to the North American continent. But like, I feel bad because like the real ones wouldn't survive. That being said, I am 100% down for Memphis. All right, to wrap this up, we've already said Memphis. What are some other locations we could do for Fallout, and what's some fun critters that you think would pop up?
So obviously, like one, I think Alaska is definitely a good spot because you could do that kind of space between Russia and Alaska and Canada. Like I think that's a good one.
I'm going to be
Um,
biased and say I think like specifically the Florida Keys would be cool. Having
Oh,
like
that would
this
be
sort of
good.
island environment, you could have a lot of like irradiated island hopping with like sharks and crocodile type critters.
You mean
honest,
the sharks have fused with the crocodiles? Yes, I'm in.
Yeah, well, there's gator claws too, right? So we got those. That's always a
Mhm.
good option. You can go up into like up maybe up along to Miami too. Would give you like the big city with the Keys being like a weird outlying like irradiated islands.
Yeah,
oh
I haven't seen a gator claw in a bit. So,
Some
Chris, do you know
cool
what a gator claw looks like?
no,
Here you go.
some cool underwater reef stuff may be cool, like mutated corals, even though corals would like be super dead.
I mean, if we're talking the United States, I mean, yeah, Florida's the obvious target. I think, I mean, especially after going to Yellowstone, like doing it in the Yellowstone Park would be amazing. Like doing it in that area where you have the sulfuric geysers that are now irradiated, the mutated bison, more Yaogwai bears running around, like the different factions, like that. I mean, imagine like, okay, so when I went to Yellowstone, basically the town I stopped in, like Jackson Hole, is filled with like
Oh,
Teslas and like
Jackson Hole's awesome.
Jackson Hole is
Jackson
great.
Hole's awesome, but it's like made now for like super rich folks to like hang
Oh,
out. So I would love to see like a tribe of park rangers that live in the park, and then the rich folks who are like outside of it and just have all those resources, and they're just two opposing clans. Like I would love to see
mm,
like scalded out ghoul park rangers like trying to protect the forest from the rich
Also, you
people
have
who are
like a
trying to take
you
it.
could there could be like a yeah like a fan like a high end ghoul ski resort.
Oh my gosh, yes. I don't know. I do think that nothing would beat the Bass Pro Shop pyramid ghoul.
I feel like that
I just
Tennessee
think
is
that would be I think Tennessee would be really cool.
yeah.
And it's
It's
just
such
like
a
that
fun
one meme
concept.
just seemed the concept of the Bass Pro Pyramid being like such a thing would be awesome.
It's
Yeah.
outstanding. Oh my gosh. Again, it's the saddest part about this episode is that the next Fallout is probably like 6 years away.
I
Like
wouldn't say 6 years.
what really? I mean, they got to
I'd
get
say
done with the
12.
the new Elder Scrolls has to get out. Like Bethesda is not in the best place right now. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff going on with them, but like they're taking care of Elder Scrolls. And then they said once they're done with Elder Scrolls, they'll do Skyrim. They'll do Fallout. And Elder Scrolls is like 3 years down the line,
Yeah.
maybe. Then you have to add another 3 years of 2 to 3 years of development. So yeah, six
I am
years.
hoping
Uh,
the popularity of the Fallout show makes them speed it up. That said, I would rather them take their time with the games. I mean, Bethesda games are always buggy, but the
Mhm.
bugginess is sometimes like part of a charm, and there's a difference between like buggy and like,
broken.
broken.
Unplayable. Like see Fallout 76's launch for the start of when buggy is too buggy.
Yeah,
But
But
the good news is, while there may not be a new game coming for a while, there is a robust library of games that you can play from in Fallout.
absolutely.
yeah, no, if you get a chance to play it, I mean, I re-downloaded Fallout 4 because I never truly got a chance to beat it. It's not my favorite, but it has the best graphics, so I went with it. But like, if you get a chance
The
to play
combat's a
new,
little more direct too than some of the older ones.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, New Vegas has its issues, but it has the best story. Fallout 3 is some of the best voice acting, and honestly, the best radio DJ. Shout out to Three Dog, your ruler. But like they all have their greatness to them. It's such a really cool look at Americana and American culture from this mindset. And I'm really glad that people are getting a chance to see it. Love it that we live in this age. Oh my gosh. The fact that we live in a world where people can actually watch video game shows that are good and make them check out the games. Love that crap. But yeah, thanks for letting me rant about the dangers of radiations and giant, crab monsters. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day and night. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye, everybody.